mean, I get really loud, so is it too close?
No, you didn't even make a red line when you said that.
Really?
Yeah, you know what else I didn't tell you? Oh my God, we started already! Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Sorry to come in hot, but I'm excited. And you know what? Sorry, not sorry. You better be hot. You better be excited because you know where you are, guys. You are on My Safe Word is More. My name is Al Jackson, but more importantly, I am joined by the one, the only, the incomparable, the unmatched, the undeterred.
Oh my God, land this plane. Yeah.
The lovely Corinne Kaplan. How are you, my dear?
I wanted to open with this. I just been thinking this in my head and it's been cracking me up.
You don't like compliments.
No, I do. No, but I wanted to, in the opener, I wanted to say, like, when you're like, how are you? I've really botched this up at this point. And I was thinking of this for like 24 hours. When you were going to say, how are you? Because you always say that. I was going to go, I have Grover's disease. Grover's disease does not have me. I was like dying to say that.
First of all, that is hilarious. And I'm not even mad at you, like, shout out to Grover's disease. And
all
look,
3 other women who have ever gotten.
We need some diseases that we can kind of poke fun at because usually the doctor comes in with a long face and a clipboard. So if it is Grover's disease, if you have to have a disease, which if we live long enough, God willing, we'll all have some kind of weird disease. Give me Grover's disease 10 times out of 10, homie.
Well, I will tell you, they gave me, I mean, this is not interesting at all. They gave me this steroid ointment, right, that I'm supposed to use for 4 weeks. Oh, it made it significantly worse. So I don't know at this point, like,
Significantly worse?
I mean, it's like little red dots on my stomach. It's definitely not better. Yeah.
No.
I know. Fun stuff.
But it doesn't matter. You're so beautiful. The guys will be like, look, it's like Orion's belt. They're like looking at a constellation.
I mean, I've like had this, like, you guys, it's in the last episode, so I won't repeat everything, but like it's a minimal rash on my stomach, just on my stomach. It doesn't like loop around to my back or anything. And no one has ever said a word to me about it. And I was like in Italy for 2 weeks in a bikini. Like, it's not super noticeable, but like I'm a very deeply superficial person.
I feel like a woman would be giving me this speech while my erection is going down. No, hold on 1 second. And let me explain about Italy. It was fine. Okay, I'm going to get my pants.
Yeah. So anyways, that's what we're working with today. But I wanted to kick things off with, okay, for anyone who is listening that was a Survivor fan, which I know a bunch of people are, although I am definitely not trying to niche this to just Survivor fans. Love you guys, but really trying to branch the fuck out. So Dr. Sean Caniff, who was on Survivor, I want to give a little history lesson. So he was on, I don't know, one of the Survivors before mine.
This history lesson starting out very informational. Yeah. I don't know. He's some dude. Whatever. Stop bugging me.
I don't know if he played twice or once, but he's adorable, and he's a Jewish doctor that was on Survivor. But the reason I know him is because so he's like a CNN medical correspondent as well, I think. CNN, one of those. Anyways, so when I was on my first season, they wanted to interview my family and then show me that video of my family, which is really cool. I don't know if they do that ever again because I don't watch the show really. But they went all the way to my house in Davie, Florida. And because he lives in Florida, he was tapped to interview them. And so he does like a full interview. And then when I'm in Gabon, during what's considered to be the family visit, they show me a video because they're also trying to advertise the phone, whatever phone it was.
Oh,
and they're like,
okay.
Please look at your new T-Mobile, da-da-da. And so they show me video.
Look at the pixels on this.
Yeah, and they have my parents inside our home being interviewed by Sean Caniff. He like put the package together. And it ended up my brother had also flown out, and like my brother was actually in Africa, but I didn't know that. I thought I was just getting the video. Anyways, so my Jewish mother meets Dr. Sean Caniff.
Yes,
and is like, oh my, like she couldn't have cared less. Like when I called collect from a hotel I was stranded at in Paris on my way home to be like, hi, I'm alive. Everything's fine. My mom's like, you're not going to believe who we met.
Yeah.
And so she was
She's already got a
me.
place at the table just sitting there for when he comes back. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. My mom was already like looping in his last name with mine, right? Like she was so excited about him. Anyways, Sean and I never had a love connection, but I adore him. And he's married with 3 kids now and to a lovely, what I can tell, lovely woman. But now I went on to, because I am very excited about this podcast. And so I love reading the reviews when people leave them on Apple. And so I go in to read this review, and it was left by my buddy Sean Kniff, who you guys all know from Survivor. But I wanted to read it out loud because he did it in the style of Al's Yelp reviews.
Oh, stop
and
it.
And it's so good.
Stop it.
Yes.
Do I have some competition?
You do.
I love it.
So he titled it Better Than Sex, almost as good, but I can't see the rest of that. I don't know how to click on it. So almost as good, or just that's the end of it. Whatever.
It's like they unthawed you from 1996. You're like, what is this? You push it and talk, and my dad's on here.
Wait, how about today? This is not related to this, but you sent me a text message telling me that if I put my TikToks on Instagram, I should take the watermark off, which Eliza, everyone else, Richard, everyone has told me to do this. I refuse because the app that requires you to do that just like slightly alters the sound and it drives me nuts. Anyways, so I tell Al, I was like, I've actually had successful Instagram stories. This one had 107,000 views. And then I sent it to Al, and then I look and I go, it's 1 million.
You're a little off here at Chase Bank.
I'm so grandma.
You have $100 in your account.
Yeah,
I thought, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So he says, imagine two friends and neighbors who suddenly and inexplicably find themselves locked outside of their apartments completely naked. What would they say to each other? That's the kind of conversation you'll hear on my safe word is more, in parentheses, My Swim. My Swim, now he starts calling it My Swim, which is where I'm going with this. My Swim is an honest, fun, and extremely entertaining podcast. The host, comedian Al Jackson, and reality TV flamethrower, thanks, Sean, Corinne Kaplan, invite you to this high-potency happy hour each week. Don't miss it. It's going to get stupid. You're going to get dizzy and possibly groped. Just go with it. Both hosts are funny, interesting, and self-deprecating. Most of the time, Al provides a sober, straight edge to Corinne's curveball insanity. Most of the time.
Yeah.
But don't let the foolish antics fool you. There's a lot of great advice here, deceptively packaged as utter nonsense. Amen. Amen to that.
I love
If
this.
you're seeking to improve your life, just listen to a TED Talk. But if you'd rather learn from people who are making all of life's mistakes for you and laughing about it, then My Swim is the perfect podcast for you. You'll love it. Okay.
I love that.
So first of all, Sean, thank you so much. That review is perfection. And I am announcing that we are going to start calling the patrons My Swimmers.
I love it. Now, I thought about this. We spitballed this a little bit. I love the name. I love it, love it, love it. My only thing is it makes me think about
sperm.
When you're going to like the clinic because you're shooting kind of blanks. You're not
motility.
shooting full. Yeah, it's just like you got sperm that are just like it's a Sunday every day for your sperm.
Shit. What about My Swimmies?
No, it's got to be My Swimmers. First of all,
well, it's a sexual podcast.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with sperm.
Okay,
How about that? This is a sex-positive podcast.
There's nothing wrong with them if they can swim.
And if anybody had a problem with just using the medical term sperm, they stopped listening like 4 episodes ago.
Yeah.
So, yes, I like My Swimmers. You guys are our swimmers. We are your swimmers. And we're just like Nemo. We're going to keep swimming. I never saw that movie.
I actually watched part of it with the Mormon guy.
Of course you did.
Right. But I did. I love it. Florida has so many crazy, amazing places. There is a place in Florida where they have mermaids. Yeah. There are women who put on mermaid costumes and breathe through a tube and then get in tanks. It's called Weeki Wachee Springs. And I'm obsessed with it. I follow their Instagram. And their tagline is just keep swimming.
First of all, I would think that'd be trademarked. Second of all, that's not for kids. That's for creepy old dudes.
Oh, of course.
I'm glad that they're behind that glass. I'm sure they're squeegeeing that off a couple times.
Yeah.
Hey, we got to clean up on 6.
Yeah.
More birds again, guys. Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
Oh, My Swimmers. We did it. I love it.
I know. So, guys, you're now known as My Swimmers.
Yes, and if anybody has a problem with us, tell us, and we will take it into consideration before we kill you, like a mean king and queen. We could be a fun mean, because like we would put people to death, of course, but it would be like sporting.
100%.
And we'd make them wait, be like, no, keep that guillotine up there 1 second. Let me go to the bathroom. Like we're just like, yeah, we'd be like the fun. History would look kindly on us. We would be like the first, like, like kind of sarcastic mean king and queen. Asexual, like I think most of them are. Just like mean. And I think it kind of leads me to this point that I've had, Corinne, because everybody's like, we have such good chemistry. And I was like, why is it? And I thought about it because I was like, are Corinne and I friends because we don't talk until the podcast? But I think that's why our conversations are good.
We have no choice.
Yes, it's good because everything's fresh. But also, it's the way things used to be in like the 90s and 80s where people actually hash things out in their head before they said shit.
Yeah.
And it makes because have you ever had somebody call you and they're like, Corinne, call you. I can't talk long, but something's crazy. I'll call you back. And then you just don't hear from him, and you call him back like, dude, I left work. What's going on? Oh, yeah, Al, he was locked out of his place and everything. It's like, dude, like, do you understand that you shattered my day with this?
Right.
People don't hash out conversations. They call you with kind of half-done conversations. Whereas when we talk, it's been probably at least a week. Sometimes we talk twice a week. But at least I've had time to be like, how do I want to say this? What do I really think about this before it just comes out of my mouth? And I think that's where our connection is. Like, we have these weird thoughts, and they process and they stew. We put them in a slow cooker, and then by the time they get here, they're ready for the air fryer, and they're dope.
I mean, by the time I get here, I'm like dying to tell you stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I just have a random question for you. Are you any good at swimming? Because we're talking about swimming. Or my swimmers.
I can Hampton Inn pool swim.
Okay.
But this black man does not mess with the ocean. I can't. I mean, I'll get in, and like, you know, my kids are in LA, so I'll go back and forth every weekend. And, you know, we're on the west side, so we go to the beach a lot. But I'm nervous, man.
Yeah, same.
You know, because I feel like I can't do anything.
Listen, we're hot tub swimmers, right?
Yes.
That's what I'm good at. Yeah. I can sit in water. I'm good with that.
You can steep.
So, yeah. Yes, exactly. So one of my favorite stories when I grew up with a pool. I had swimming lessons, but like I don't swim competitively, right? Like I can doggy paddle. I grew up, I know this is gonna sound super bougie, but I grew up with a pool that was very elaborate. It had a big water slide and multiple waterfalls. And so I can get from the end of the pool, once I've launched down the slide, back around to the other side to get back up onto the slide, right? Okay.
Right.
So when I was prepping, when I got on Survivor the first season, I had absolutely no prep time. I mean, I was cast 3 weeks before, and I had never seen the show. It was a mess. And I was like, shit. When I started watching they made me crash watch an entire season. It was actually 16 they made me crash watch because I was season 17. Anyways, I'm like, oh my God, they're like diving down and undoing puzzle pieces. I'm like, I can't do any of these things. I mean, how am I going to handle this? So I start taking swim lessons, and there was a guy who I peripherally knew in college who was a personal trainer who was like, like I knew him through a friend, and he's like, I can train you how to swim. And I was like, okay. So we go to the pool, and he starts out by being like, okay, you're going to have a kickboard, and we're just going to focus on legs. And then there was, you know, the reverse, just arms, like, you know, like we did it in piecemeal. All right. Well, we were practicing in the Santa Monica Olympic-sized college pool. And he says to me, we were 1 week out. I mean, I had to do this like very quickly. So I was going every single day with him to the pool to like keep trying to progress.
This is like Billy Madison.
It is. Like okay. So he says to me, okay, you're going to have to take the goggles off, and I want you to swim. I'm going to time you, and I want you to swim as fast as you can in a straight line across the pool, like in my lane, you know? There's many, many lanes. It's Olympic-sized. The pool is completely full. And I'm like, I don't feel comfortable. I need the goggles. And he's like, well, and he didn't know what I was doing, but he knew I was swimming in the open ocean. And he's like, you're not going to have goggles, and you can't open your eyes in seawater. You have to figure out how to do this. You just need to trust that you can swim in a straight line. Like,
I don't like that word trust in the ocean anyway. I don't trust myself.
Okay, so
have you ever seen me at an open bar? Yeah, it's a problem.
So after a lot of convincing, I'm standing at the side of the pool like half crying, and he's like, what do you want? You asked me to train you. I cannot in good conscience send you out there in a week. And I didn't know where I was going at this time. And he's like, we just knew it was going to be ocean water. And he's like, you have to be able to do this without goggles. So he convinces me. So I said, okay. So I'm the last lane on the end of the pool. I swim as fast and as hard as I can, trusting in my brain that I am going in a straight line. And you know what happened, Al? I went directly, hard and fast, into the metal staircase on the side of the pool, gashed my head and my hand open, and they had to evacuate the pool because there was blood in the water. And when that happened, he was so freaked out. He's like, I've never seen anything like that. Like, I just went super left and directly into the metal staircase. And he was like, I didn't even know that was possible. And he's like, okay, new plan. I don't think you should swim anymore. You're going to go out there. And
your swim coach.
He's like,
that was his new plan.
This is the end of training. Yeah. And then we made out. He was like, the training is over. And I was like, cool, you want to make out now? He's like, but I feel like anything past this is just going to make you worse. Just do your best. like whatever you know from now, up until now is all you know. This is as good as it's going to get. And then I went out there and it was Africa. It was the first ever landlocked season. We were not on an ocean.
Oh,
and I didn't have to swim.
That's crazy.
Yes. I did.
What would you have done had you had a scenario like when they tell you have to swim? Are you like...
So all the times in between when he was training me, I was going to the pool and practicing, which ended up being super helpful. I was practicing running in waist deep water, thinking that like I'm so powerful that I could run faster in water, which is completely absurd.
Thor. I'm just going to run. It'll
like
be faster.
lightning.
It's like Godzilla gets to Tokyo, right? He just walks.
Well, it ends up, one of the biggest challenges where I was is that they didn't have open water, but they had basically like trenches they carved out for us to, it was running through water waist deep. And I was like, holy shit, I trained exactly for this.
Of course.
Because it can really tire you out if you haven't trained. Okay, and then...
Tell me the last thing you had to do is like to win the whole season, you need to swim directly into the medal stair across this Olympic-sized pool. And everybody's like, I can't do it. And you're like, sir,
I can do this.
You take a sip of coffee. I'm ready.
Yes, I am very adept at that. I was also so concerned that that's got, like, I had gashed my head open. And I was like, it was right on my hairline. And I was like, I don't want to have, like, go on national TV with, like, a weird Harry Potter situation.
Wait, so we're not going to blow past the fact that you guys made out after. Because when you were explaining that you were standing on the edge of the pool crying, this is how much I've been around this planet, is I don't go, oh, a friend of mine was having a really bad day and I should feel, I was like, how many guys have this fetish?
Yeah.
A woman wearing a swimsuit crying.
Yeah. Well, he did.
He definitely did.
Yeah.
Check his cookies.
Yeah, and then sadly for him, I was like, at the time in my life, no judgment meant, but I just didn't think personal trainers made enough money. Actually, I still don't. And I was like, no, I'm not going to date a personal trainer. So that was...
And also, he didn't help you.
No, he didn't.
You can't have sex with your personal trainer unless you're getting in better shape. You're like, I got a dad bod, but I married her. Like, no, it's too late. No, you gotta. And he abandoned you when you needed him the most.
Right. It was.
You're bleeding now. Yeah. This is where you come in, homie. This is why I hired you.
Yeah. To be clear, I only made out with him because at that time in my life, I also wasn't sleeping with anyone that didn't make a certain income. So he didn't meet the threshold. But like legitimately after my head was bleeding and he was like, that's it, let's call it. I was like, do you want to get a drink? Because let's salvage this day.
Yeah, he's like, I want to, but I'm scared your tears will dry. Yeah. It's the only way I can be. Wait, now, I have to ask this on behalf of the listeners, because I do this for y'all. What's the money threshold?
Well, back then, it was at least more than I make. Okay. And I don't think personal training, I don't think real estate, I don't think DJing or yoga instructor, I don't think any of those are real jobs.
But what about all of them combined?
That's worse.
And one person that lives with his mom.
Yeah. None of, like, those are all, like, extreme vag dryers to me. I'm like, I want no part of any of that. In fact, I once went on a date with a guy who told me he was something else, whatever it was. And when he had to get gas, so obviously I went through his console. And I found a business card that said he was in commercial real estate. And I was like, what is this? What is this? And he's like, oh, I have my real estate license. I was like, you didn't say that. That's not what you said. And he's like, well, I don't do that for a living, but like I do it on the side. And I was like, no. Take me home. Like,
really? You can make bank doing commercial real estate.
Fucking don't care. No, because most of the time they don't. And you could be real dumb and get a real estate. You know what? I got my ABC bartending license, and I think that was harder than people's getting their real estate license.
I remember that ABC. Everybody in LA or New York was like, okay, I'm running out of money. I can sling some drinks. I remember that ABC bartending.
I got to know how to make a rusty nail because no one orders that. And mind you, my father made me get my ABC bartending license. I got it in South Florida. When I went to New York, the thinking was like just in case he was going to pay for me to do 1 year in New York, right, to try and do my hand at stand-up and getting on Howard Stern and all the other nonsense I wanted to do. But instead, I was on Howard Stern once.
How?
I have the audio of it.
You
But like it's not exciting because what happened is
excuse me,
I guess I think obviously it's exciting to be on Howard Stern, but the situation that I was in when I was on it isn't as salacious as you want it to be. Like it's old school Howard Stern. However, what happened was I shot a pilot for a book called like The Guide to Dating, and the guy who wrote the book booked us on Howard Stern. So there was a male and female co-host, me and this guy, normal, attractive. But the guy that wrote the book, The Guide to Dating, is a troll. I mean, he's just that was the problem. So we get there and Howard could not get off the fact that like this guy was so unattractive. He's like, what could you possibly know about dating? And so like I just piled on.
You guys? Or you piled on?
Oh, I piled on. Howard was super nice to me. Like he wasn't like show me your tits. He didn't do anything. He was just like, he couldn't get off the fact that this guy was so homely looking and just like gargoyle looking. And he was like, what business do you have writing about anything? And it was fun, but it's not like I didn't get taken to town like this author did.
Did you ever see your male co-host from that again?
Yeah, I think we worked on a couple of other projects together.
Okay.
It's cute.
What do you think the most real-to-life advice that was contained within that guide to dating? Were you like...
Oh, it was trash.
Was there anything where you're like, eh?
It was like, okay, he and I are practicing flirting at a bar and flirting tactics. It was all, I mean, look, it was before the internet. So I guess there were people that were like, what? You should make direct eye contact? Like, it was super obvious stuff. I'm sure the book is still available. I'm sure it hasn't sold very many copies. I will take a look and throw that up on our Instagram.
Okay, we will do that. And since we are talking about dating...
No. I have a segue. I'm interrupting you because you don't know this is coming. And this is just the perfect opportunity. I am pointing at him, you guys. All right, Al, do you think that I cannot read? Is there a reason that perhaps you didn't tell me that you fucking authored a book? I was listening to your other podcast, Dying for Likes, which is amazing. Go listen. And, Sam, his co-host, casually is like telling the world about a children's book. I'm like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Hello?
I wrote a kid's book, y'all, during, I guess this is maybe...
Please tell me it's sexual.
Oh.
Is it the puberty
Chris
book?
Hansen reads it to kids. No, I wrote a book. I do work with the autism community here. My youngest son's on the spectrum. He's super dope. No need for condescending. Like my son is amazing. I talk about him in my act. I'm so jealous of him. He does not do any small talk ever.
Oh, God,
he only
I love this.
talks about what he's interested in, Corinne. I'm borderline obsessed with like how he lives his life. He never will be like, "Oh, my day's good. How's your day?" I don't care. He doesn't have that capacity. I'm so jealous. I'm
actually like that, but I don't think I'm on the spectrum, but I feel that way all the time. Anytime someone says, "How are you?" How many times I sit down and you go, "How are you?" Do I ever say, "How are you?"
No.
It doesn't occur to me, but I think I'm just really like self-centered. I don't think I have a condition.
I feel like you know who you are and you accepted who you are and how you're wired early in life, and most people never will. And so everybody else or most people that you will meet are the person that they feel like their family wants to be, or the person they feel like their family most absolutely does not want them to be. So if you come from a Christian, super Christian, hardcore religious background, and you don't want to be that, here comes the septum piercing.
Yeah,
here
the tattoos,
comes the boyfriend or girlfriend of mixed ethnicity. Here comes I smoke weed and I do a sex podcast, or you're what they want you to be. But you, and I feel like your parents have had a lot to do with it, because it doesn't seem like they push back against who you are because you're a lot like them. And I think that's what makes you so unique. It's that you don't go out of your way to be whatever you think you're supposed to be. You're not a fake tough guy. You're not a fake that girl. You're not a fake let's do this, homie. You are you all the time. You are super consistent, and people are drawn to that. That's why people either love you or hate you, but it's a good thing because you cause emotion in people. People remember you. It's better to be loved than hated because people remember that. It's not like, oh, Corinne, what's her name with the curly hair? I think I went to high school. No, did I work with her? That just means you're not that memorable. No one has ever met you and been like, oh, what was her name? You did something. There's so many things that you will never remember you did.
I know, that impacted someone else.
Yes, and it'll be something to think about. Right? I said your life flashes before your eyes before you hit a tree. Like in those 9 things of them getting married or Kim getting born, it'll be you going, I thought you were way too fat to wear that skirt. And then they'll hit the train.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
like, that's why people love you.
When
You're
I was
honest.
younger, I just remember this. I was old enough to drive because my mom and I drove separately to see my grandma. And
Wait, why did you drive separately?
I think I was just coming from a different, like...
Oh, okay.
Like,
I thought you guys couldn't be in the same car.
No.
Some Ike and Tina.
I mean, truthfully, my parents would not get in a car I was driving, I don't think, ever.
Oh, there's some reasons for that.
Yeah.
We've discussed on previous episodes.
So, yes. So anyways, we were at my grandma's house and she had like made snacks and like we were hanging out and the idea was like we're spending time with grandma, who my grandma Estelle was amazing and I loved her. But, you know, it gets boring after a while. And so I was like, so I stood up and I was like, I'm so sorry, Grandma, I have to go because, you know, I just don't want to be here anymore. And my mom looked at me wide-eyed and was like, could you not think of anything else to say? And I was like, I dug deep. That's all. I don't want to be here anymore. And my grandma was like, okay, well, it was good to see you. And my mom, since that point in time, repeatedly had to tell me when we would go places, she's like, can you please not embarrass me?
Now,
And
how
so-
old were you when that happened?
At least 16.
But you're still young, and that's the point where you're still, especially that's the time
still
of year.
kissing ass?
You're still kissing a lot of ass because, first of all, you probably still need stuff from your parents.
That $5 she was going to give me.
Yeah, and it's just like the fact that you were able to be you. Like, I feel like my grandmother, God rest her soul, she and I are a lot alike, but she never got to know this version of me.
Yeah.
You know, like, this is like, same with my father. You know, he passed too. It's just like, I feel like I finally know who I am, and I feel like that didn't happen till I was about to get sober, so probably like when I was 39, you know, because I was always just like, I was like one of those people, I never knew what was, like all this stuff good and bad was happening to me at the same time. It's like I'd be on TV and I wouldn't tell people.
You mean like you'd write a book and not tell me?
Yes. Oh, the title of the book is called Where's Baby Ford? It's about my kids
Cute.
going through that game Roblox. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
You would never know. Roblox is like The Sims, but for this generation, where it's
okay.
just like an ever-expansive...
Create
Yes.
another universe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that kind of thing, except it's huge, and my kids are basically looking for my youngest son. When they finally find him, they realize that he's outside playing, so it's about outside play, and at the end of the book, you realize that he didn't speak the whole book, but he
You
still
really
has
just
it.
going to spoil this whole thing?
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. So it's like,
Jesus.
you know, it's 27 pages. But yeah, it's super dope. You can get on aljacksonlive.com.
I would say, yes, you can. We're getting our merch together. And
Ooh,
once we have our site up and running, we'll make the book available on our site too.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to share with you that I tried to write a book. Yes.
Why am I just now hearing about this?
Well, it didn't get off the ground. So I partnered, you're going to like this. I partnered with a physician that I was friends with in Beverly Hills because I wanted to write a diet book for teens. And I went to Barnes & Noble. I realized that there are no diet books out for teens. The reason is because there's like a huge problem with eating disorders and no one says the word teen and dieting in the same sentence.
How dare you?
And
yeah,
so
you get killed doing that.
Yeah, I know. So we detailed out all these chapters. So it would oscillate between my kind of diet tips and like actual medical ones, like how to look at your like healthy stool and like different things that like she would contribute. And then I would do like the weird shit. Like if I'm very anti-water. I think that like you can be a lot thinner if you don't drink water. A lot of things that she really wasn't that happy about. But we like came together and I wanted to call it Diet Riot. And
I like that.
I wrote a treatment with her. And
you are the best at names. I said that to you before the podcast. It just needs to be said into the microphone. I am good with coming up with quick names. You are a savant at that. Please keep going. That had to be said.
My concept was that my parents at a very young age, I don't consider it a diet. Like I've always eaten healthy. Mm-hmm. And I've seen like if you start that trend in the youth years, right? Like if in like 6th grade, you start understanding that a Cobb salad with ranch dressing has more calories than a hamburger. Like if you start actually like understanding how calories in, calories out work and like just start understanding how to eat healthy, you set yourself on this like amazing trajectory. Like if you were, like we say, a former fatty, like if you were heavy in your formative years, you have a worse tendency to carry that with you, right? Anyways, no publisher would touch it. So my book didn't get off the ground. But I did also want to write a children's book. And I just thought that we should exchange that information.
And I have a great illustrator for you. I think the title of this next book should be, Hey Ladies, Lean Cuisine's Your New Boyfriend.
Yeah.
Let's go. No, I mean, it's so weird how human beings take in advice. Because if you sat on this podcast and told people how they should lose weight, a personal trainer, we've had Jillian Michaels on our show, and I respected her. She did not back down. She was saying that Lizzo, although she's beautiful, is unhealthy.
I agree.
And look, guys, I love Lizzo. Stop. I used to DJ. As a man, when you are a DJ and you need a song to get everybody up and dancing, Lizzo, dog.
Yeah.
Lizzo is when everybody hits the dance floor. So I love Lizzo. Please don't come for me. Jesus, Lord. Are we done with this or not? Do we have to give everything a preamble? I have a daughter. Look, I get it. But I will say this. When you start giving advice to people like that, they don't want to hear it. But they will go themselves and get a boot camp instructor that's like, give me 45 push-ups, run up that hill. They turn on Judge Judy. They want to hear people yell at them there. Your Apple Watch is like, hey, stand up, bro. You know, all these things bark at you, but it has to be things that you have allowed to bark at you.
But first and foremost, it doesn't matter. Like, just think about, like, okay, I work out every day, right? I work out for at least 60 minutes.
Respect.
But thank you. I can only burn, I'm probably burning between 500 and 700 calories on a good day, 700 in that 60 minutes, probably closer to 5. Okay, well, that's not enough, right? So like anybody, like we always say abs are made in the kitchen, right? Like it's diet first, especially if you're overweight. Like it would be nice if you take a walk every day, sure. But even if you burn an extra 300 calories, if you don't understand the calorie contents of what you're consuming, all that. So anyways, I am going to get off my soapbox. If you have diet questions, please write in. You guys know listen, talk about Savant. I can tell you the calorie contents of almost anything, like off the cuff. I am very good at that.
I love that. And it's just like, I feel like advice is like medicine. You could add something sweet to it, but it's more effective going down straight. And I feel like I would come to you if it had to do with my relationship or my performance on TV or my performance outside, my performance at a party, because you're the only person to be like, well, Al, we love you. But you just be like, dude, you clearly didn't know what you were talking about, and it was embarrassing. And then that would be the end of your sentence. There would be no but. You can do better. It's just like, yo, there's a little Kobe in you, dog, and I don't throw that shit around. Kobe, if we do, now that he's passed, everybody loves him, but people didn't always love him when he was alive. But I understood him, and I get that. Like sometimes we can't all be friends. Sometimes when you love somebody, you have to risk not being friends with them to be like, hey, bruh, whatever you're doing is not working. Your wife is cheating. Whatever unpleasantries. But it can't always be, hey, how are you doing? I'm good. How are you? That can't be life. So that's not how conversations and adults should talk.
The thing I think most when you say that is, what is Vanessa Bryant going to do dating-wise now? How do you go from Kobe? Not even lateral moves. There's no...
It's funny you say that because me and my girl are rewatching Narcos, and Tata, who is so fine. Good Lord have mercy. It's almost hard to follow the plot. She's so fine. But Pablo Escobar's wife, like, she can't. Who are you going to date after Pablo?
No,
you can't. Sometimes you hit the lottery, and then that was your time to hit the lottery, and you're just like, that was my dude. That my grandmother never looked at another man. After my grandfather died 11 years before she did, it's like sometimes you're like, that's my husband. He just happens to be dead.
Yeah. My grandma, the one I was just talking about, both grandmas were attractive, but my grandma Estelle was like, she'd show up in leather pants to Rosh Hashanah. Like, she was a bad bitch. And I was always like, go get, but she was like, nah, I was married to your grandfather for over 50 years. Like, I'm good. There's that, like, that was it. She cashed her chips in.
I think that's how you can tell if somebody had a really good marriage, if they get married again, like when they're 60. You're just like, oh, that guy sucked, and I was been waiting for him to die. So, like, now, but, like, when you had a good one, you're like, dude, I'm straight. I'm going to hang out with my grandkids, but I'm good over here, dog.
Yeah, she had no interest. Okay, since we're on the topic of marriage, I thought I would share some of my favorite terrible dating app messages.
That's why I love ye.
Yeah, here we go. I do it for those who, are in relationships and don't get this joy. All right, so this one came in, and these are on Hinge. This guy sent me a rose, and this is the message he went with.
Hey, you got a rose. That's a big deal. Okay? Don't.
The Black Bachelorette, as you said, Jason Ming.
Hi, Jason Ming. We live in a weird world. Continue.
Okay, he says, hey there. Have you dated a werewolf before? I may have to board in one of those cages during a full moon. Just a heads up.
Wait, I need you to start over. I need you to start over.
Okay. Hey there. Have you dated a werewolf before? I may have to board in one of those cages during a full moon. Just a heads up. Smiley face. I don't know what that means. Does it mean he's really hairy? Is there a joke in here that I'm missing? What is he talking about? There's no cages on my profile, by the way.
Okay.
So he's not referencing a picture of anything.
We have to start spitballing here. Here are my thoughts. One, he's a sub, and he needs to be put in a cage. But I feel like a sub wouldn't come at you like that. It would be lowercase, like, excuse me, Miss Lady Dom, I'm sorry, I don't deserve to even email you. That wasn't a sub kind of message.
If I may, you know what this message really reeks of? Ambien.
Ooh.
This sounded good on Ambien. I'm a werewolf. I'm a big macho werewolf. I don't know. It's a real odd.
Was this werewolf also doing Broadway?
I started to think, I love from 30 Rock. They have a little, Tracy Morgan does this thing, werewolf bar mitzvah, spooky, scary. And I started to do that and realized only 3 people will get that reference. Okay, so that's the first one I offer up. Here is the second.
And also, guys, you are part of this too, our swimmers. Like,
what's happening?
We need your theories because clearly we're never going to know unless Corinne responds.
I won't be responding.
I know you can't. You can't do it, but I'm very curious. Or maybe he's like, I'm a wild man at night.
I'm trying to understand.
Like he likes to
Werewolves
party?
just pop off. They turn into wolves when the sun goes down, right? I mean,
no, when the moon comes.
Or
not when the sun goes down. What are they, old people watching the People's Court? Here come the werewolves. It's 4:15. When the sun goes down.
I don't fucking know. Well, I don't know what he was going for there. What I took away from it is that he's warning me that he's super hairy. And thank you for the warning. I am not interested.
Okay. I didn't get hairy from that, but I could see that.
That was what I was thinking.
Because he would be like, if you don't mind a layer of fur, I'll keep you warm or something. If he had said something like that, like, hey, I'm warning you, I'm hairy, But that was, I don't know, I just got party, like I'm a party at night and I need to be locked up because I'm crazy.
Oh, well, he's not good looking enough to be like, you're going to put me in a cage. But isn't it ironic that I always say I want to put whoever I date in a cage?
Yes, which
he's
you do.
offering up a cage. I didn't say anything about
But you don't
cages.
want to put him in the cage. He wants to go in the cage.
Listen,
and that turns you off.
Well, it's because he's unattractive. He could run free. No one's touching this guy. So I'm not concerned about you, sir. You can do whatever you'd like. You can be off leash. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm cool.
Free range.
Uh-huh. Okay, so this is the second one I offer up to you. And this guy's picture is a lot. I mean, I want to show you his picture, but you're sitting so far from me. He's scrunched his face like this.
Just turn it towards me. I can see. I got LASIK. Okay,
he's not smiling. He's like.
That's regional manager Dave and Buster's gear.
But he's like scrunching his nose. Anyway, this is what he says. My goodness, you're so gorgeous. I'd walk barefoot through 1,000 miles of broken glass just to shake your 3rd grade teacher's hand.
Is that code for something?
Again, sounds like Ambien or an Alp review.
That's
Al Yelp review.
That's a dude just saying, that's the equivalent of old black men in the 90s going, girl, you look so good, I'd drink your bathwater.
Yeah.
It's how old black men talk, but like in a new wave white guy way. Because old black men like hit on you, but it's like harmless. They're like, ooh, girl, you are a fox. I hate to see you leave, but I love to watch you walk away.
Yeah. My 3rd grade teacher is probably dead because I'm old.
There we go.
So I don't think you're going to be shaking her hand. And I had one more to offer up.
And you're not old. I'm looking you guys. This video will be up. We have an iPad trained directly on you, Corinne. You are. There's not an ounce of fat on you. You look great. And first of all, for anybody that's like, you're fat shaming, dude, you don't know me. I'm a black dude who lived in Miami and Mississippi and Cleveland and New York and LA. I like some big girls. So back up, dog. Back up. Okay, continue.
Okay. I wanted to get your opinion on, there is one gentleman who was cute and tall, but his profile says he's living car free. You can just say you're poor. By the way, you guys, we live in Colorado. It is not a walkable town. It's not New York City.
You would look insane.
Yes.
If I was like, hey, Corinne, I'll be there in about 2 hours and 45 minutes drenched in sweat. You cannot walk. If you live in New York, word. I'll take car free in Chicago just for the parking. Boston, because there's no parking.
Yeah, fine. Not Denver.
Yet this is not a car free town at all. And I will say this, and I just stood there last weekend with my mouth agape as I watched just a different generation pull up. But I was walking into my comedy show. Shout out to everybody that came out to the Denver Comedy Underground last week.
Again.
And
he doesn't promote any of these things properly.
I need somebody. If there's an intern to help me. I'm an old black man that's pretty talented, but I don't know how to do anything.
I mean,
because I don't care that much. I just like just enough to hang out with my kids and my friends. I don't care. But so I'm about to walk into the gig, and there's still a line there, so I just hang back. And I saw there's an apartment complex directly across the street. And I watched this guy with the scooter pull up with this girl on the back. It's freezing. I mean, it was like zero, dude.
No.
It was zero last. This is not hyperbole. It was like zero. It's like 11 o'clock at night, and they got off, and they just had this deep tongue kiss, like they just got off one of those boats that land on the water in, the Maldives or something. She just acted like he just brought her in this chariot. And then they just like walked up to what was definitely her apartment because there was a doorman. I was like, if you're rolling on the scooter, this is not your spot, dog.
Yeah.
And she keyed in, so I know it was her place. So I'm like, we now live in a world where a woman this was condos, a woman that owns her own place, in a place that has a doorman, is about to definitely have sex with a dude that couldn't spring for an Uber. And they were definitely kicking it downtown. So we're talking about an under
mean the
six
scooter. I'm thinking
the Razor scooter,
yes,
the electric,
the lift.
Yes,
you can rent. Yeah,
I
would never ever get on one of those. I mean, my Amazing Grace partner Eliza and I are both petrified, and she ended up having to get on a moped when we were in Vietnam, and she freaked out, which I would have too. I hate those things. It's just. I work in organ donation. We see a lot of accidents with those. What my head went to. Sorry, was that your?
That was it. Okay. Just me being shocked that's a form of transportation. Okay. It's acceptable now. I'm like, good for you, bro.
Yeah, it's not to me. I'm going to do you one worse. So when I was living in my last building, I saw this guy around the building all the time he's exactly my type, like a huge meathead, like 6'5", very Norwegian looking. And like he was covered in tattoos, but also like looked like an Abercrombie, like, really wholesome American look.
Right.
Or Norwegian, like blonde hair, blue eyes. Okay. Anyways, I had been like eyeing him for a while, but I know better than to hook up with somebody in your building while you still live in the building. Okay. I made that mistake once when I was 23 years old. It was a full nightmare.
Never bang the building super.
Oh, God. No, surely not. But so this guy, I pegged him at probably, I should just leave it at I pegged him.
Yeah,
I did not peg him.
You guys stop right there.
I pegged him at like around 24. Like he's definitely young. And I was like, when I was moving out of this place, I was like, he's my mark, right? Like I'm going to get to this guy. Well, I know I've only got like a month left in this building. I end up running into him at the Grizzly Rose, my very favorite country bar here. And when we run into each other, I was like, hey, don't you live in my building? And let me tell you, I tried to hit on him many times at the pool, like, because we had a really nice pool. He'd be at the pool. I'm like, oh, I like your bathing suit. He's like, mm-hmm. I mean, I thought he was not interested at all. I mean, I kept trying, but I'm nothing if not consistent. So I see him at Grizzly. I was like, we live in the same building. He's like, we do. And I'm like, unbelievable. Ew. He has no idea. And I have pranced around in very little, like I wear whatever you call the French cut in between G-string and full back bikinis are.
Oh, okay.
And I'm prancing around the pool thinking the entire time I am trying to get his attention. The man never noticed me. But anyways, he was very receptive.
Good. Now you can make your first impression at the Grizzly Rose.
Yeah. So I was like, do you want a two-step? He's like, yeah. So we end up like hanging out. And because I live in his building, we both go back to the same building. We make out a bit. I end up going out with him a few times, but here's the problem. We don't actually, going out is a misnomer. He lived in a two-bedroom, it's meant for two people, with 4 people, and he lived in the living room. And the living room was cramped enough. He also had a keyboard because he liked to diddle the keyboard sometimes. He was like tragic in every other way besides looks. Anyways, I'm telling you this because so when I was like, what do you do for a living? And he's like, oh, I buy and sell cars on Facebook Marketplace. And I'm like, that's not a job. Like, I didn't even know to add that to the list of real estate, yoga instructor, DJ. Like,
Right.
buy and sell things on Facebook Marketplace. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, how would you know if, like, don't you want a Carfax on the car? And he's like, that's the risk you take. I'm like, how many people are taking this risk? So he goes on there, finds cars he thinks are a good deal, buys them, and then resells them. Well, despite that, he drove a Vespa. It was turquoise with leopard print. And here's something else. When we ended up eventually, like, we hung out a bunch of times and he stayed over and he kept his socks on. And I was like, I don't understand. Like, I was making fun of him at brunch. I was like, oh, like, what? I don't know what is happening, like, on your feet. What, like keeping the socks on? And he's like, I have a wound that has been weeping for months and I didn't want to get it on your sheets. And I was like, oh no. It turns out he has no health insurance. He was also dealing with multiple cavities that he couldn't get checked.
Including the one in his foot.
Yes. He was like, I go, how long has this wound been weeping for? And he was like, a few months. And I'm like, you have to get that. You're going to get amputated. Like, that's like MRSA. That's something that should not be happening. Yeah. He was a lunatic. He was so hot though, but he's an insane lunatic. And he drove a Vespa, which he was a gargantuan human, like a very large person to be. And I'm behind him on the Vespa, very Dumb and Dumber style, like holding his waist with a little helmet on, heading to brunch. Like, what is my life? What am I doing?
I was just thinking turquoise Vespa with leopard.
Leopard.
That's just
leopard
like
fur.
If they rebooted Clueless in Italy,
yes.
like that's what she would be riding on.
And he had multiple vehicles, like cars that he was selling, that he was illegally housing in the garage you're supposed to pay for at our community. And he was like, nah, let's take the Vespa. And I'm like, okay.
Ugh. I mean, was he packing? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can.
He could do whatever he wanted.
That's the thing, I think.
I was like, I don't know, just wear socks all the time.
Vespa is just like, you're not concerned with people addressing your. That's a thing.
He was an idiot. So dumb. But I didn't really care.
How long did that?
Oh, until I moved out of the building. And then I was like, all right, I'm good on this. Because it's really convenient. We lived in the same building on different floors. But then I moved out and I was like, have fun. Bye.
So do you think he wanted to continue it?
I doubt it. He plays the field. I'm sure he does fine for himself.
Right.
It was just a convenience factor that I would have, if I just know too much to do that, like, when I moved there and didn't know how long. I was in that building for 2 years. I don't need to see him bringing home other chicks. Like, I'm a very jealous person, despite the fact that, like, I was not in a relationship with him. He could do whatever he wanted. I did whatever I wanted. I still would be really irked by, like, sharing an elevator with him while he's taking some other girl home.
I was going to say,
so,
how would you react? Because I know you'll be honest. You've got 4 mezcal doubles in you, and you get on the elevator 11:30 at night. He's on there with another chick.
I know exactly what would happen.
Please tell.
It just happened New Year's Eve.
Okay. I can tell you what did happen, not what might happen.
Yeah, exactly. So I will tell you this. I will obviously leave his name out, but there is a football player that I dated a little bit. Off and on, I adore him. He's a great guy. And I saw him on New Year's Eve, and he was clearly, seeking out, like, available tail, right? Like, he was doing the content, right?
He was doing the thing.
Sure. So I'm like, do your thing. Well, the night is winding down, and, like, he no longer plays in the NFL anymore. And I knew we had a table, and we were leaving to go to the MJ Death House, and we had bottles left on the table. So in my mind, I was going over to tell him. He was talking to a girl at the bar, and I was going over to tell him, hey, like, he was about to buy drinks, which are so fucking expensive at this place. I was like, just going to tell him, like, we have so much alcohol left on the table. Please just take this girl over to the table. Enjoy it for the next, the night was maybe 40 minutes longer before the club was going to close.
Never be at the club when the lights come on.
No. So first I say that. I go, you don't need to spend any money. You can just, like, which is kind of emasculating, like, acting like he is, like, I said it like, you don't have bottles because you don't play anymore. But, like, we have bottles.
Yeah.
We have bottles, like, left. Like, we had a full bottle left. And then I followed up with.
It's like ordering single drinks, but how adults do it.
And then I followed up with this gem. You're really lucky. He's great in bed.
Oh.
Ugh. So that's what I would do, I assure you. If I saw somebody taking home the guy I live in the building and had been going home with, I'd be like, oh, good news. He's great in bed. I had him last night. I mean, by the way, I love the guy on New Year's Eve. Like, I only meant it to be complimentary, but the delivery, everything. I mean, my other friend grabbed my arm and was like, "And you're done now." Like,
did he just act like he didn't hear you? Because that's what I would do. I'd be
he
like,
laughed.
These drunk girls.
He uncomfortably laughed, and I was like, "Love you, buddy." Like, I tried to play it off like I was just saying that as someone who had heard he was going to, like, it was terrible all around.
That's even worse. So many people are talking about you having sex.
Yeah. Everyone has fucked
you're
this
sleeping
guy.
with patient 0 of gonorrhea here in Denver. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that is what would happen for sure. I would never get aggressive. The girl doesn't know any better. But it's very, we're both in the casting room, right? Like,
Right.
I'm trying to intimidate you.
I could see that. I mean, it's...
And also, like, yo, don't be sloppy, man. That's why I only could do this with him when I knew I was leaving the building, because he's too dumb to keep it together.
Yeah.
For sure.
You just don't... it's the same
the back
reason
stairwell.
that, like, yeah, it's because everything, and this is why, again, I think you and I have been uniquely suited for especially adult life, is we never bought the indoctrination that's given to us, because there's always, like, the scene where, like, this quirky guy can't key into his apartment, and this super cute woman is, like, looking at him struggling, and then they have wine, and they eventually get together and they hook up. It's like the movie doesn't show 3 months later when now it's super awkward. Now she's, like, openly sending a guy to kind of threaten you, hey, stop taking my girl's mail. It's like it's extra drama that you don't need. Mm-hmm. What you need to do is have some discipline and separate yourself, because you're not going to fall in love. We need to tell people that when they're leaving high school. There are not enough quality people on the planet for the number of people in this room. Musical chairs, some of you guys it's not going to happen. You can make a ton of money, and you can kind of create a partner between 14 to 20 partners. Mm-hmm. It's fine, but the idea of finding the perfect person is something we should not be telling people, and that you stop making mistakes like this because you're trying to have a quirky, I met the girl in 7C and now she's my wife. That ain't happening, dog.
No, but 99% of the time it goes way, way wrong. So I truthfully would prefer to date out of state. That's, like, my preference, because I'm so crazy that, like, I don't want there to be any propensity that we will run into each other. You know what? It's not me. You don't want there to be any chance that we're going to, like, if I run into somebody that's on a first date with somebody else, I mean, my poor ex, the one that is, like, my legit ex here, he lives in Boulder, so he's far enough away, like, we don't cross paths at, like, the local anything. But I have told him, he knows, like, if God help you, if I ever run into you with some girl, like, I will be the least cool about it ever.
What, do you just want him to never hook up with anybody
no,
after that?
I am unwilling to, like, any of my exes. I don't do the catch and release program. I catch you, and then you permanently stay on roster.
You stay on the wall.
You do. And then you have to be celibate the rest of your life, or you continue hanging out with me. That's it.
Oh, I kind of like it. That's like what Suge Knight would do if he was still dating. That's amazing. Now, was there a bet on a date that we were supposed to talk about?
Yes.
You said something about that this week.
Well, I went on a date last week with a guy, which, we've chatted a little bit about. He was a nice guy, but he did something on the date that was cute, and I just wanted to get your take on it.
Okay. And by the way, side note, when you sent me the text, it just said BET date.
Oh,
and I was like, you could just say
TV?
black guy. It's like you don't call black people BET. That's like, I dated a BET
That's my
one
new
time.
favorite phrase. I'm using that. He was half black.
Yeah. We needed to talk about this because your boy had some.
Well,
thoughts.
we're not gonna dig. We're not dogging him. We don't know what's gonna happen.
No.
However, this was what he did on the date. That was kind of cute / funny. We were watching the sun. He booked us amazing reservations at a rooftop restaurant that have floor to ceiling windows. We're watching, like, the sunset, and we have the cocktails. And the last cocktail of the night, we were going to go outside and have it by the fire pit because it was really cold out and stuff. So we weren't going to, like, have dinner outside, but we were going to have this, like, cocktail outside. So I was saying to him, it's so cold. And so he's like, oh, it's probably like 35. I was like, absolutely not. It's below 30. And he goes, you want to bet? And I said, yeah. And because I am confidently wrong, like, I will sell you on.
That's good.
I mean, I really had no idea what
That's how you get out of a dangerous situation like training day. Oh, yeah, I'm good. What's up?
So he goes, all right, what are we betting? And when he said want to bet, I thought it was like a joke. And I was like, if this motherfucker says the check, like, for this dinner, he didn't, though. I thought that's where it was going. And I was like,
I thought it was going in another direction.
No, he goes, if I win, I get to kiss you. And so What do you think happened?
He won?
I said there's no need to bet.
Oh, that's hot.
Mm-hmm. But also he won.
Okay.
We checked it after. I was way off.
Okay. What was the temperature?
Oh,
roughly?
it was like 39, and I guessed it to be like in the 20s.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm no Al Roker.
Okay. Well,
That's the first.
that was the most random thing. We have the title for this episode. Without a doubt, I'm writing that down. Excuse me.
I mean, this is the first thing I thought of. I can hear his pen squeaking on the whiteboard, you guys. He's really writing it down. Okay, so while we're on the subject of dating,
Oh my God.
I have one last thing that I need to present to you. This is okay. You know how obsessed I am. It's not over it.
Says that. I'm no Al Roker.
For a lot of reasons.
I love you so much.
Okay,
Please
so-
continue.
So I got on, I'm obsessed with Don't Date in Denver. Funny enough, a friend messaged me. She's in Seattle, and she's like, I found this group. You're not allowed to share it with anyone. So I'm video messaging this. I trust that you won't tell anyone that I'm showing you. And I was like, I'm in the group in Denver, and I do the same thing. Like, don't tell anyone. Okay, because I just don't want to get kicked out of the group because there's so much tea and it's so amazing. But aside from that group, there's a sister group that's called Vouch Dating Denver. And the concept here is that they're going to tell you about wonderful guys that are available that they're vouching for. So originally,
Boo.
okay, yeah, well, so I'm like, okay, like let's, like what does this look like? I'm really into my Facebook. I'm really leaning into the Facebook group thing. So I start reading them, and I'm going to read you a few. Okay, here we go. First one, Brady. I guess I shouldn't say all the stats. We'll leave everything else out. Ladies, vouching for this man. He's just not the one for me, so my loss is your gain. I have never felt so safe, respected, and cared for on a first date like I did with Brady. He's thoughtful, hilarious, he values, respects, and sees women as equals. He has a solid job, he loves dogs, and he's generally looking for something serious. He's 5'7", though. I just wish society wasn't so height-driven or concerned with what is conventionally attractive, because I am baffled that this man is still single. He deserves to be with someone who is humble, intelligent, and kind. And I'm like, okay, all right. First of all, did Brady write this? And second of all, why didn't you keep him after the first date? It's because you figured out that he was 5'7", or you wouldn't have mentioned it in this profile.
Right. You'd be mentioning it on your wedding invite.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Well, when you get a step stool for him at the vows part.
Wait, is 5'7" considered short for a guy?
It was very short.
Really?
I think so.
I thought very short would be like 5'3", 5'4".
I mean,
5'7".
5'7" is short.
Okay.
It's short enough that she called it out. Okay, I'm going to read you some more because it is just a pile. It's a dumpster. It's
is.
Everyone's used dildos. It is
unused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every single one of these it's every one of them. I was like,
Fresh
what?
from the factory.
What kind of vouching is this? This person says, I have an ex that I think is so sweet and wonderful, but we just weren't a long-term match. We dated for 3 years. We used to get our nails done together. He would not get them painted, but love the rest. Takes great care of himself and whoever he is with. He just turned 59, but does not look it. He's handsome and well-mannered, a true gentleman. I don't know about you, but I'm not looking for a man to get my nails done with. That's your selling point?
A 60-year-old man you're getting your nails done with
Yeah.
is like, hey, it's like one of those old, like those teen movies where like they flip bodies and like your Nana switched with this guy. Just asking you about college.
Freaky Friday situation?
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Okay, here's another one. My son is an amazing young man with a heart of gold. Okay, well, you're his mother. Then she says the following. Every girl he meets wants sex and not a relationship.
How does she know that?
That's my point, Al. What is happening? Every time he fucks some girl, he's like, Mom, it happened again.
He's in his bedroom just crying with white tube socks up to his knees.
Yeah.
Get her off me.
Okay, I'll give you just a few more. Okay, ladies, stand in line. Meet my new tall friend, Mike. Okay, so you guys, I'm not the only person.
I mean, really, Corinne, I see that there's more. There's a lot of women.
He's 55, right? Doesn't look it. We've had lunch before and really hit it off. It doesn't sound like you really know this person, right? You had lunch before. Lunch and you're vouching for him?
And that's the first thing you mentioned.
The bare minimum?
Not like I've been overseas with this person or this guy was my doctor and he really helped my mom or something. Like
I had lunch and he didn't dine and dash.
Right. I've had lunch with people sitting in an airport Chili's. It doesn't mean I'm going to vouch for them or I know anything about them.
This is a terrible recommendation. Okay, then she says, unfortunately, due to our circumstances, he lives with an old-time friend and his family. I also have a weird living arrangement. Okay, I'm sorry. So he's homeless. He lives with an old-time friend and family? So he lives with his friend's family?
Patches. Yeah. Down by the canal. Yeah. His old-time friend. You have to have a knapsack and a stick. If that's how, Boxcar Willie, no, get out of here. A unique living situation. Yes, a train. Stop it.
Okay. I have one more to share. This is my ex-boyfriend, Sean, and one of my best friends. He is absolutely amazing, but he has had a hard time dating since we broke up a few years ago. And then she goes on about what he loves. He's 48, no kids, never married, looking for something serious. I know he'd love to find the one. Yeah, he thought it was you.
Right.
He's not over you.
Why
and you're trying to get somebody else to adopt this puppy. This site is so much fun. Nobody's vouching for anyone that anyone else wants. These are all fucking rejects.
Nobody can explain. There's no way that you, like last night, I went to my favorite Thai place, went to Thai Curry.
Oh,
you guys have heard.
Shit, yeah.
It was
pictures on the Instagram.
Yes, Thai Curry. Shout out my homeboy Quay. He's a doctor. He's in town. I was like, you got to eat the best Thai.
What the hell? Why haven't I met this guy?
He's not tall enough. Shout out to Quay.
I really like that name. I know I say that every time you say it, but he's Ugandan, right?
Yeah, he is. I've known Quay since 1998. He's the homie. But, so we at the Thai Curry, and it's like, I recommend Thai Curry because I eat there. I would never be like, guys, I'm coming on Yelp. I've never eaten a Thai curry, but everybody leaving looks really happy and full.
The parking is generous.
Why don't you still eat there? Why don't you still eat there? Why don't you still eat there? You cannot get around. That's why I'm saying I love you. Why don't you
still eat there?
Because you deal in a world of honesty, and so do I as a comic. You have to, and as somebody that talks off the top of his head, I cannot lie because I won't be able to remember it.
I can't either.
And so, like, the idea that, like, first of all, that last woman is so much enjoying.
Yes.
Like, dangling him out there, like, I'm done here. Does anybody? He's still nice.
Really hung up on me, but, like,
Gently
maybe
used.
you could get him to like you almost as much.
Yeah, like he's an old Amy Winehouse vinyl record. Gently, good condition.
Yeah. All of these are the saddest recommendations of all time, and I will keep a tally if I see any other good ones to share because I've been sourcing these for like the last week. Excited to give them to you.
All right, we have a lot to discuss, but like we're just much like Survivor. You think about yourself, Corinne. You're a couple weeks in. You feel like you're losing some body mass. You're hungry, but you're pushing through, and you come to a fork in the road. And to the left of that fork in the road is discussing some of the things that we've discussed, like my comment to Jeff. Or we can get into the emails, or maybe we just do all of it.
Okay, we're going to do the emails, but I have to do your comment to Jeff. I just have to.
Okay, and Jeff is my co-host.
Yes, so set this up while
Live.
I look for the comment, please.
Daily Blast Live. That's what I just said. You guys should turn the podcast off right after you hear somebody that can't say the name of his own TV show. He's been on for 6 years, 5 days a week. Yes, on Daily Blast Live. Jeff Schroeder, my brother, my co-host. I've known Jeff forever. A lot of y'all probably know Jeff Schroeder. He's married to Jordan. They got married on Big Brother. I think he was on Big Brother twice. I know he won Big Brother.
He definitely did Amazing Race.
And they were on Amazing Race, and he did Around the World for Free, and he's just in a couple movies. He was in a movie with
He did a movie. Wait, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, he's done a couple movies. We just had Jaleel White, the dude that plays.
I love Jaleel. I was with him on New Year's Eve.
He's awesome.
Oh my God.
He's awesome. Like we all run in the same
Jaleel,
weird circles. And he did a movie, and like we were interviewing Jaleel about something else, and Jeff was like, "Hey, I didn't know if this is what a humble guy Jeff is." Jeff was like, "Hey, I didn't want to say it, but we were in a movie together," and Jaleel was like, "Yeah, I was wondering if you were going to say something."
Yeah,
he's like, "Is this guy just going to act like we're not?" But like Jeff was like, he's so humble. He's like, "Oh, I didn't know if you don't want me to bring it up." That's like he's in a movie and he won't tell you. You talk about my TV show, my book. He won't tell you he's in a movie.
I mean, I met Jaleel years ago through Lamorne, who he's on New Girl, and they were friends, and I met him, and then every time after he remembered me, my name, like he's so friendly, and now we're like he had a table next to ours on New Year's. He's lovely. Okay, here is the question I have for you.
Okay.
So one of my patrons wrote in, shout out to John Hale. Y'all, during the new episode, it hit me where I know Al from. He's the one who told Jeff from Big Brother that the Popeyes sandwich tasted like a neighborhood he's never been to before. When I connected the dots, I absolutely lost it. What the hell is that?
Yes. Well,
Talk.
This is so crazy because John Hale watched a doctored clip.
Really?
Yes. Here's what happened, John. I had cracked a tooth eating lychee hard candy from World Market. No regrets. No regrets. Cracked that shit. And so I had to go to the dentist here. And I went back to the show after I got my crack fixed. And that sounded both of them.
That's definitely not the way you're supposed to say
Doc, why do you keep putting me out for
fixed.
this? Where are my pants? So, I go back to work and I'm kind of like hazy. And that was the day. That was when Popeyes had first dropped their spicy chicken sandwiches, and it was huge. Like, it was a big. Remember, people would line up for hours to get their spicy chicken sandwich. Yes, it's not your bag, but yes. But this was a big deal 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Yeah, and so we did an on-air taste test. So we tried Wendy's.
It's really cutting edge news over here.
I know. We tried Wendy's. Then we tried Popeyes. And my co-host, Tori Shulman, a great friend of both of ours, who we're probably going to hang out with tomorrow, she says, I've never had Popeyes before. And I was so still woozy from the drug. I should not have been on television. I go, does that taste like a neighborhood you've never been to? Because Tori is she doesn't run from it. She is a rich, she has an elevator in her parents' house. Like she's lives in Washington D.C. proper. Not all you liars that go, I live in D.C. and you live in Virginia. She lives in
her
the
dad
real.
Is a legit lawyer.
Her dad is one of the most famous lawyers in the world, and so. So Tori said that, and she legitimately had never. She lives in Chocolate City in D.C. and never been to Popeyes. So, and Tori's like my sister. We go back and forth. So I said that to her. It went super viral that time. So that was 4 years ago. So that went viral. I didn't even know till somebody called me. It was at 4 million views in a couple hours that day. So it ran its course. It ran a great course, and then came and went viral again. Probably 2.5 years ago.
Let's give it another run.
Yes. No. So this is the third run of that. But now, the second time of the viral run, after I said that to Tori, somebody edited it to the Dave Chappelle where he goes, "Gotcha, bitch." Like somebody then added that. So then that was the second
the
volume of that. So volume 3. They deleted Tori from that and just had me saying it to Jeff. I didn't say one word to Jeff that entire time, but they made it seem like it's so crazy, the power of editing. John, I never said that to Jeff. It wouldn't make any sense. Jeff is from he's from a working class neighborhood in rural Illinois. I don't want to say where, but he's from, he played
don't got the roots Tori has.
Yeah. Jeff is a regular dude, and so no, it wouldn't even make sense to say that to Jeff.
Well, there's the behind the scenes, you guys.
Yeah, that's so weird.
I thought you would enjoy that.
But isn't it crazy how reality could be altered because he would have gone the rest of his life saying, "Why did you say that to Jeff?" And I didn't. That's weird.
Yeah. And I like that. See, this is why I try not to. I like to tell you everything on the pod. Because I read that. He sent that in a while ago. And I was like, what is this? I'm not going to ask. I'll ask him on the podcast.
Thank you.
So you know what time it is? It's time for you to ask us stuff.
Oh,
My safe word is moreadvice@gmail.com if you want to write in.
We just love doing these. All right. We have an email from a person we're going to call Special K, which usually means some drugs that Al did not mean to do one night in an after-hours club in L.A., thinking it was something else.
I recently got offered that at a housewarming party.
It's
I
like
don't
the new
do that
thing
for the record, but I was like, I'm sorry, what? This is a housewarming, not a rave, not a club.
You told me about that, too.
So anyways, Special K, how can I help you?
Okay, so Special K writes in, he says, my husband and I have an exclusive relationship when we are in the same city, but we open things up when we are in separate cities, as a lot of married couples do, whether they know it or not.
He's right.
Additionally, we have a rule that any hookup that we have must have at least 3 months between repeats. I like that.
Oh my God, that's so smart.
Got that?
Can't catch feelings.
So about a month and a half ago, this guy comes over, and right before we're about to hook up, he takes off his shirt, and he's like, this thing on my chest is from a biopsy. I'm like, cool. Then he tells me that he has cancer and got diagnosed that week. So naturally, I ask if he still wants to have sex because I know he didn't come all the way over to my house for some sort of therapy session after sending me photos of himself spread eagle. Then we have sex, and it's amazing.
Oh, great.
We have great chemistry. Because I'm nosy AF, we talk enough for me to find out the cancer he has was caught early and his chances of surviving are pretty good. My question is, if I want to hook up with him again before the 3 months is up, do I have to tell my husband, or do I get a spiritual pass because I'm literally providing sexual healing, shout out Marvin Gaye, to a cancer patient? Signed, the ethical tart.
Oh, so there, he gave his own nickname. You are a tart. I know who this is from. Okay, so I feel like this is the cheat code, right? Like this is like the okay, so I would first and foremost I would tell your husband, we don't know how long he has. Like, don't tell your husband he's got the kind of cancer that's definitely solvable. Just be like, it's unknown. I cannot go 3 months because of the situation. And I agree with him. It is sexual healing. I think, but you're gonna see, this is the problem. You open up the floodgates. If you tell your husband, then he gets a pass to do this, and then you start this cascade of problems.
And that's why, you know what? That's why there are rules in prison between the inmates. There's rules between mafia families. There are rules. If you watch The Wire, they were like, no shooting on Sundays, because you have to have rules or you have nothing. And once you start issuing spiritual passes, next thing you know, your husband's going to be like, well, it was a hurricane. It was a natural disaster. I thought I was going to die. So like, and then you don't have a rule, and then it's over in a weird way. And I'm going to tell you this, ethical tart, it'll be hotter if you wait. Don't give in. Remember what I said the last podcast about BDSM? It's like America's
3 months is too long. He'll find somebody else.
Those are the rules
he
that
also
they
could
made.
Be dead. I mean, there is a percentage chance.
That makes it hotter. That it's going away. You know how they say in theaters for a short time, they're like, hey, it's gone Friday. You're like, I guess I got to go. But like, it's making you wait. But if it's just there all the time, no one wants to watch it. So I say this. It'll be hotter if you wait. If you don't wait, your relationship will be over because either there are rules or there are no rules.
So I take back, okay, I agree. I guess if you're negotiating for a pass, it's a slippery slope. I wouldn't do that. I would these are your two options. You can do what Al's saying, which doesn't sound like is what he wants to do, or he wouldn't have written in. Right. If all he was going to do was follow the 3-month rule, there's no question.
Right.
He'd like us to give him a pass as the authority on this, you and I. I'm going to grant you a pass, and I'm going to say that due to the extenuating circumstances, you don't need to tell your husband. But you got to make sure this guy isn't going to say anything either. Because it sounds like he's coming over. You know, it's not like it's not in another city, right? Am I...
That's what he said, over to the house. So maybe his husband was out of town?
That's what it sounds like. That's the vibe I'm getting. I am taking my magic wand. Poof.
All right.
You
remember we're the asexual, mean but funny king and queen. The king crosses his arms and shakes his head. The king says this can't happen because, dude, once all bets are off, it's way worse too. Because if I'm like, hey, Corinne, stay at my house. I'm gone for a month. I'm doing Survivor now, however long you're gone. Stay at my house. Just respect it. You do whatever you want. Have parties, drugs, booze, people, whatever. Just like be cool. And I come back and there's a hole in my roof and there's a dead guy in my hot tub. And I'm like, I gave you a long leash.
I gave you a leash, right?
And
why
like
did you have to?
still had to violate.
I see your point.
That's my issue. It's like, dude, you guys have a pretty long leash. And let's be real. That 3 months is in there not as an arbitrary number. It's because when you have sex with people, especially good sex, you catch feelings. And my boy Brian Babylon, I wish I could own this as my own, but he said something, and I'll never forget it. He said, if you have sex with somebody more than 3 times, you're in a relationship. Oh. And if you have now broken a rule to have sex with this person the second time, well, now what are you going to do? Wait 3 months now? Now you're waiting 3 hours. Now you've had sex 3 times, and now you're in a relationship behind your husband's back.
I'm a bad person to ask because I love to cheat. I love cheaters. I like married men. Like I'm a mess. So I'm always going to be like, yes, do it.
I love you so much. I love you. God, I love you. All right, we're going to get another email in here. Just because, you know,
we have time. Let's do another one.
They're stacking up. And honestly,
let's clear the plate.
I really dig this. This email comes in from our friend Buddy. And Buddy says, hey, Al and Corinne, I recently had a date and the guy was extreme levels of bonkers. I knew instantly I had to email in and get Corinne's reaction.
Okay.
He offered to pick me up, which I originally thought was a sweet gesture. until he arrived and proceeded to tell me that there was no space in his car, so we would need to go in mine.
What? Oh my! First of all, this is worse than getting picked up in a Vespa. You transported yourself there only to be like, now you drive?
Yes, that's super.
Wait. Oh, I'm sure you're gonna get to this, but I need to know why there was no space in the car. How much hoarding is happening? Does he live in his car?
Yeah, that's a
Let's
great.
go.
He just has no space. Okay, then he continues. He offered to drive my car, which is clearly a huge no. Thank you. But truthfully, I would have accepted any excuse just not to drive until now. About 5 minutes into the drive, he casually slips that his license is suspended for repeat driving offenses, and he's awaiting a court date as a result of this.
Oh, and you want to drive my car? Mm-hmm. Sure.
Riding dirty.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I immediately ask him to pull over to switch sides of the car. Did this stop me from continuing the date? Hell no. Upon the date, he proceeds to tell me that he's 100,000 in debt, recovered from meth addiction, shout out, and recently got out of a 10-year relationship which broke down because of his past addiction issues. After the date, he messaged me to apologize for his erratic behavior. And sure, that's not the first time he sent that message.
Oh, surely
cut
not.
And paste.
I mean, when you're $100,000 in debt from your meth tab.
Yeah, to whom it may concern. Sorry about your home.
Just copy and paste, yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so he says, after the date, he messaged me to apologize for his erratic behavior and explained that he had taken something prior to the date.
Oh, God.
I'm looking
again, you wanted to drive my car?
Yeah.
What did he take?
Truthfully, once he had mentioned his past, I had suspected his behavior seemed a little off, but I didn't feel comfortable saying anything. Prior to the date, I found his messages progressively became more ridiculous. I need to see these messages, such as a list of rules that came with him giving me his number, which included don't swear on text messages, don't share the contents shared in the messages, and most importantly, don't share his number to anyone. This is paranoia.
Oh, my God.
This
is tinfoil hat. This is meth. 100%.
It's the cops are outside. The aliens are above us.
Well, you know
the government's listening. Yeah.
Dr. Drew says that people on cocaine run from cops. People on meth run to cops. They're always like, you don't understand, man. There's people after me. Like, they're constantly harassing the cops. That's why they're so,
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Culturally, like, meth did not hit the black community at all. So I don't really know what it did. I asked a good friend of mine who used to sell drugs in South Florida in the early 90s, and he said all the drugs, and it's so interesting, he said all the drugs that people are doing now, people were doing in the gay clubs in the late 90s. And if you think about it, Special K, roofies or whatever, like that was a thing. And so I guess it does make sense. But yes, it does sound like meth, I guess.
Wow. This is so... Wait. I'm sorry.
No, this is a lot to take in.
You have me at there are rules to getting my phone number. Also, you have no idea what I'm going to do. I could do whatever I want with your information.
Right.
I mean... I'm definitely screenshotting shit and sending it to my text threads all the time. So if you give me your number, just assume that that's happening.
Yeah.
Everyone assumes that's happening,
you
right?
have to. I think that's where we are in 2023, and it's life now. Anything that you text, you have to be prepared for it to be on a national television screen. So when you start texting your mistress, I want to marry, whatever, you just know that that's going to be on TMZ in about 4 hours. So
you can't ever have your head in a naked shot.
No.
Ever, under any circumstances. I don't care how long you're dating him for.
It's always just tilt the camera up.
No.
It won't be happening, sir. Okay, so after that, he says, and most importantly, do not share his number to anybody. As if doing so was the equivalent of going to the media with a number of A-list with the number of an A-list
personal line.
Yeah, and then this guy who doesn't have a car and might be hoarding and living in it. Okay, so he goes on to say, don't give his number to anybody, as if this is the equivalent of going to the media with the number of an A-list celebrity. I clearly knew that this whole interaction was a terrible idea, but I heard Corinne's voice in the back of my head saying,
yeah. Do it for the story.
Do it for the story. You beat me to it. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I was reading that as you said that. It was meant to be.
Timing.
That was so dope. That was so dope. Loving the podcast and keep up the great content. that email was worth it just for that moment. I swear we didn't.
No, we didn't.
Corinne had no idea that was coming. Just do it for the story.
I love it so much. I have so many questions directed at what was in this car. Like, what? What?
Yeah. It's, wow. I mean.
It doesn't sound like he's driving a two-seater Miata. Like, it sounds like it's some sedan that's just got shit everywhere.
Yeah.
I had a date a while back. I might have told this on the podcast. Basically, he was a super young guy, and we went out. I met him at the Mile High Club, which is where I go to search for youth. And I brought him home. He was like 22. And we were listening to music. I had an after party. It wasn't just him. There was like a bunch of people. And we were listening to music. He was picking the music. We were playing it through my Alexa. And I was like, can you play something I would like? He was playing like very current R&B that I just don't care for.
R&B?
Or not R&B. It was like hip hop. But like it was shit I wasn't familiar with.
Right.
Not that I don't know like current Drake, but it was like more obscure.
Right.
So he goes, yeah. So he goes, hey, Alexa, play Frank Sinatra. And then he looks at me and goes, this is from your era, right? And I was like, sure isn't. How old do you think I am?
Oh, my goodness.
Anyways, he stays over at one of my best.
Remember when you couldn't vote? Yeah,
I mean,
that's super
Sinatra? I am not that old. So he stays over, and one of my guy friends who was there at the time, like that was like visiting me, was like, hey, you know, it's a crapshoot with the young ones. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, it'll be fine. The next morning, so he wasn't staying with me. He was visiting, but he was staying in a hotel. He calls me and he's like, hey, you ready to go for brunch? And I'm like, I can't. And he's like, why? I was like, the fetus is still here. And he's like, what do you mean? Get him out of your house. This is what happened. I was like, okay, back into the wild. And he was like, I can't leave yet because I was drinking so late. He had a breathalyzer because he had a DUI and he can't start his car until he can breathe clean.
Yeah, we call that a him problem. Get out of my home.
I had to wait it out. It took till like 3 p.m. before he could blow and make his car move through the breathalyzer.
Couldn't you blow for him, or you were tanked up too?
I guess I could.
You would have shut it off for another 8 hours.
He wasn't really interested. Yeah, he was not unhappy about spending. He's like, let's order in, and I was like, oh my God, get out.
You can definitely get that vibe where you're like, oh, this person doesn't have anywhere to go. I remember, I guess kind of early in my career when I was starting to do the road and starting to figure out how to figure out who wanted to hang out with the comic. And, I had actually talked to this woman when she was in the audience. She had an interesting story. She just come from somewhere. I don't want to give it away. But she had been on a game show. I'll leave it at that. Okay. So we talked about that, and then we talked after the show. And she was with her family. Like, this is like a family vacay. And, they went back to their hotel, so I thought, and she came back to my hotel. So in the morning, I just wake up, and this is back when I was sleeping late. I don't think I had kids yet. And it's like 10:30, 11, and I just see the back of her head, and I'm like, it's late, bro. And I was trying to be a G, got in the shower, probably went downstairs, got that free breakfast, came back up. Just a rock in my bed, not moving, shaking her, not waking up. Oh. And when she finally wakes up, she's like plants a big kiss on me, and it's like, I have some shopping to do I have some shopping to do in like a half an hour, so I figure we'll do that. Then we'll have dinner at my mom's house around 5, and then we'll go to your show together. She was like, we were going to spend the afternoon,
the panic on my face,
the night. Both of my shows, she was going to sit through both of my stand-up shows again and then spend the night again. We were just about to be like 24-hour, 90-day fiance. And I had to call my friend. I think I texted him and told him to call me. And we had this whole fake scenario.
Yes, of course.
Where I was like, oh, my friend, his dad wants to take us out on this boat. But so we all just got to go. And she was like, well, I can go. I was like, no, his dad's real weird about that. I remember a fake yacht story or something. But I had to get this But yeah, there's something about people that don't have anywhere to go. It's very scary.
First, okay, I don't have commitment problems, and I actually love a 0 to 60, but it has to be like the exact right scenario. We used to say relationship just add water, you're tall and you're perfect, and just move in now, get in the cage. But 99% of the time, the person that's not leaving is not that person that I want that with. Yeah, it never happens that it's aligned with that. I have a random story. I was at a guy's house in LA that's a famous actor who will leave nameless. Very nice guy.
That
we were
actor
hanging
was
out.
Red Fox. No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
Did you say Red Fox?
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Just thought of it.
Perfect. Yes, it was Red Fox.
Shout out.
So I was back at his house, and I've known him for a long time. We were friends. Then we started like hooking up and like dating. And I was at his place, and he has a really gorgeous sprawling home. And he had a sauna inside, and I was in the sauna, and he knocks on the door, and he has tears in his eyes, and he's like, Corinne, my father just died. And I was like, oh, and I'm immediately, my mind is like, just tell me you want me to go home.
Right.
But it wasn't like, we were friends for a while. It felt weird, but I was like, this is a setup, but he is an actor and he is really selling this. And he's like, you don't have to leave. You can spend as much time at my house as you want. I'm getting a flight out right now. I've just called a car service. This is before Uber. And I'm like, so I can stay though. And he's like, yeah, just like let me know when you leave and I'll have like the house manager come by and lock up. And I was like, okay. So I stayed the whole day. I was in the pool. I spent the whole day there.
Daddy's dead day?
Yeah. I was like, sorry about your dad. At no point, Al, was I like, want me to come with you? Or, I like hugged him. It was so quick. I was in the sauna. He opens the door. My dad's dead. There's a car coming. Within 10 minutes, he was gone. And I had the mansion to myself.
Oh. Did you even try and fake? Did you try to do the fake hug?
I did. I couldn't
sweaty?
Conjure up any tears. I was very sweaty.
Okay,
I
so
was
you
in
gave
the damn sauna.
him a sauna hug.
Yeah.
Which is like, let's see, what could be worse than me finding out my dad's dead? Well, I had a sopping wet hug from a woman that's 108 degrees right now.
And I'm like, can you close the door? You're letting the heat out.
Oh.
We didn't date after that. That was it.
Oh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure it was cameras everywhere. So I'm sure he was like, my fucking dad dies, and this bitch, I'm getting the floats out. I'm on a flamingo in the middle of his giant pool.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there could have been something, or this was just a fun relationship?
Oh, nah. It was, I wasn't interested in anything long term.
Okay.
Yeah. He was a nice guy, though.
And neither was his dad.
No.
Oh, okay, that was terrible. Okay.
No, that was perfect. On that note.
We gotta leave on that note. Not that I want to leave, but you don't have to leave because people can still reach out and find you. Yeah. Corinne, tell them where they can find you.
So, at Corinne Sanity on Twitter and Instagram, and at Corinne Kaplan on TikTok, which I just uploaded something yesterday. I don't do that frequently. I would really like if you would email us at mysafewordismoreadvice@gmail.com, or reach out to us via the Instagram page, which is just mysafewordismore. Al, you go.
I'll go now. Twitter at Al Jackson, Instagram Al Jackson IG. For all my live dates and all things going on with me, including where to buy my book, Where is Baby Ford, go to aljacksonlive.com. Puff a smoke.
Bye, swimmers.
Bye.